career, well, it's long, it's distinguished, and it's most certainly varied, let me tell you. Thanks to I'm a Celebrity, he's gained a whole legion of new, young supporters. There isn't much of this man I haven't seen, let me just tell you. And this man also has never shied away from a fight. He took on Nat West, didn't he? And he won. He then went on. He took on YouGov, and he won. And let me tell you, at the next election, he will take on the establishment, and he will win. Ladies and gentlemen, soon he will make history again when he becomes the next British Prime Minister. Now, just before we meet him, let's remind ourselves of his story.
We are all ships rising on a turquoise tide, headed towards winning the next general election. This government is deep in crisis. They are not fit to govern. The Conservative Party are riven. There is a new, strong, unified party, the party that stands up for decent working people, and we are the party on the rise. The energy has been unbelievable. The enthusiasm has been extraordinary. You are the People's Army. Reform is now in government. And the big shout-out message, it's very, very clear, is if you vote reform, you get reform. And when it comes to country, of what a nation is, this is where I do personally want to confront the Prime Minister head on. No one cares more about the state of this country than I do. There is nobody more determined than me. But I tell you what, folks, that was just the beginning. Thank you very much indeed.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the leader of Reform UK, Nigel Farage, MP.
He doesn't understand what government at all levels has put on hard-working people in this country, the highest ever level of taxes during the lowest period of growth, where people work longer hours than they ever had to, and where often their next door neighbours rise at midday, have Deliveroo come and smoke dope for the afternoon. And you know what? That is exactly what Malcolm was just talking about. We have, frankly, and it's been going on for years, by freezing tax thresholds and much else, by punishing those that are self-employed or run small businesses, we've become a country where work, for many people, frankly, doesn't. Are the party of alarm clock Britain. We are the party of people who get
do their bit, pay their taxes, believe in our nation, defend its culture, and frankly,
got them. I haven't got people time when we had a worse Prime Minister than Keir Starmer. The guy is a disaster. And as we go through a period of both national and very extreme international crises, I think the energy crisis should now be the biggest wake-up call that Scotland and the North Sea have ever had. Just think about this. Last year, on the other half of the North Sea, it exactly was
drilled 49 new wells. 49 new wells for gas and oil as part of a projected 250 that they intend to develop over the course of the next few years. How many new wells opened up on our side of the North Sea? None. Zero. And how many will open up this year?
We charge 78% super taxes.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for such a passionate speech. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us nicely to our final speaker. The question is, who could that possibly be? Well, he's a man who needs literally no introduction. His approval rating is so bad that at this point, the taxman, rail replacement bus services, and even the Glasgow Rush Hour are more popular than our current Prime Minister. Now let's be really clear here. The Westminster parties, I think it's fair to say, have consistently and constantly destroyed people's hopes, their aspirations, and their futures. I just want to highlight this and look at them in turn. There is no doubt that given its woeful performance, the Labour government down in Westminster is out of ideas, it's out of time, and I think you will agree it's time it should be booted out of office. The problem is the Labour government has absolutely no idea what it is doing. And astonishingly, it is extraordinary. They're now on the internet. They've trashed the economy, they've kicked businesses where it hurts. They've also launched full frontal attacks on our farmers here in Scotland. Farming is the lifeblood of much of Scotland, with approximately 45,000 farms in Scotland. Now these holdings cover roughly 5 million hectares. That represents about 65% of Scotland's total land area. But the Westminster politicians, they're either ignorant or they don't care. And if that wasn't bad enough, Labour is destroying the very best of Scotland. They have presided over rocketing energy costs. They are worshipping on the altar of net zero. Now they had a choice. They could have made Scotland a global gas and oil superpower, but instead they chose to rely on intermittent renewables. And then, of course, the complete farce over the winter fuel allowance has hit pensioners very hard, which I find is utterly unacceptable. But Labour in Westminster doesn't seem to care. Now, the winter fuel payment in Scotland has now been replaced by the pension age winter heating payment, which is a devolved benefit. But of course, due to UK government cuts, this payment is no longer universal, and many pensioners are missing out on much needed money. And I put it to you that all of this is totally unacceptable. It is utter madness. Now, unforgivably, the Labour government has also allowed the illegal invasion of our country to continue unabated, When you look at these figures, 41,000 people came here illegally last year. That is the second highest number of crossings ever recorded. And if you remember, Labour promised they would get on top of this. The truth is, Labour prioritises illegal foreign migrants over Scottish citizens, and this must stop once and for all. I want to be really clear and honest with you this afternoon. I pledge to all of you this afternoon, only a Reform UK government will stop your country being invaded once and for all by illegal migrants. Now, Labour, they keep turning to us and accusing Reform UK of wanting to privatise the NHS. You've heard it, haven't you? Repeatedly. Well, I'm a medical doctor. I'm also the person who wrote our health policy. And I want to be really clear with you. This is a blatant lie. Under a Reform UK administration in Scotland, the NHS will continue to remain free at the point of need, and that is what the Scottish people want. Your trust. The Tories broke Britain. You know that. I know that. We know that. And the message across Scotland and the rest of the UK is clear. We also took on the government, and we won a seismic victory against the government who tried to cancel elections for 4.5 million people across the United Kingdom. It was wrong. It was undemocratic, and thanks to the fight mounted by Reform UK, that wrong has been put right, and that means that 4.5 million people will now have the chance to vote, and that is the right. I keep counting them every single week in my meetings with the members of Parliament, and we are not stopping there. Reform UK is well and truly on the rise. Let's be very clear about that. And here in Scotland, thanks to the extraordinary work of someone who works incredibly hard, our National Director Martin Green, and of course our members and supporters, I can tell you the latest polling now shows us in Scotland at 20%. That puts us in second place in Scotland, and that is utterly extraordinary. Would you not agree? So we now have here in Scotland 24 Reform UK councillors in Scotland. We have one Reform UK member of the Scottish Parliament in Graham Simpson, and we now have over 12,500 members in Scotland, and we are only just getting started. Now, the Scottish parliamentary elections are in 49 days' time, I'm counting, on the 7th of May, and that is when people across Scotland will elect 129 members to the Scottish Parliament. My message to all of you here today is direct, and it's really honest. Now is the time that we have to fight for the Scottish people, for Scotland, and for the Union. This is the moment when we have to come together, we have to work together, we have to campaign together, and we will. And you can make that happen. Well, our first speaker today is a qualified teacher, a business owner, and a Reform UK Scotland candidate for the 2026 Holyrood elections. Her Scottish roots, Undy. Her family has lived in East Lothian for more than 80 years and has continued to be a strong part of the local community. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Angela Ross.
Good afternoon. My name is Angela Ross, and I am one of the 73 potential constituency candidates for Reform UK Scotland, standing in the May 2026 Holyrood elections. For nearly 2 decades, Scotland has been held back by a devolved government in Holyrood that clings hold of power refusing to give it to the people, by a political class intent on protecting the status quo, and by a system that gaslights us, lowering our expectations and delivering less with every passing year. We've seen in shipyards, hospital waiting lists spiralling out of control, and schools slipping down the ranks, and a stagnant economy caught in a doom loop. Public spending far outweighs funding in an impossible, illogical that will only get worse as time goes on. We're told to accept delay. We're told to accept decline, and we are told to accept excuse after excuse, and to believe that independence from the union will somehow magically make everything okay. Well, our short-sighted, incompetent states.
Albert, good afternoon. So good to be with you. A very good afternoon to you all. Thank you very much indeed for such a fantastic reception. Let me tell you, it is so good to be back here near Glasgow, a city that featured very early on in my TV career. Now, any prizes for guessing what show that was? Are you old enough to remember? Well, I used to work here at BBC Scotland on the children's.
This is Reform Conference Bishop Tim. It's live.